Hello everybody, it's TannerFishies here, back again with a new Ninjago video here on the channel. In today's video, we are going to be discussing the possibility of an upcoming Ninjago collectible minifigure series, and what I would personally like to see in that series. Now, I'm sure every LEGO fan, or at least most LEGO fans, have heard of the collectible minifigure series. These blind-bagged minifigures have been making their way to store shelves for the past several years. I remember trying to collect some of the earliest series, and I was really into collecting them a long time ago. Nowadays, I don't really collect them all too much, though a couple of the specific themed series of the collectible minifigure series line have indeed caught my eye, specifically the new Marvel Studios series, which I am currently collecting as we speak. And it made me think, should we get a Ninjago minifigure series based on this show? And of course, my answer to that would be absolutely. We should have gotten this a long time ago. Now, of course, I do remember that during the Ninjago movie, we ended up getting a collectible minifigure series specifically for that film. I'm not going to be talking about that today. I would like a Ninjago collectible minifigure series specifically meant for the TV show, not touching on the movie or anything else. I think it's long overdue at this point, so in today's video I figured I would give my updated list as to what I would personally like to see in a potential Ninjago minifigure series if we are to get something like this in the future. I feel like a lot of people expected it for the 10-year anniversary of Ninjago, but alas, we still do not have it just yet. And everything I'm going to say in this video regarding minifigures and what I would like to see, obviously it's not meant to be a confirmation of an upcoming series or anything related to that. In terms of the number of figures I feel like would be in the CMF series for Ninjago if it is indeed going to come out, I feel like it would be very similar to the Marvel Studios series, which right now has 12 figures in it for the first release. So I figured 12 is a good number to go for, so I collected 12 designs of 12 minifigures that I would like to see become actual collectible minifigures themselves. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into it. Let's go ahead and look at the first figure that I would like to see in this series. That, of course, being Blacksmith Kai. So for Blacksmith Kai, I think this design is going to be in the inevitable Ninjago CMF series whenever we do eventually get that. I think this design is going to be one of the first ones incorporated into the actual series. For one, this is indeed not only an iconic outfit for Kai, it's also iconic for the entirety of Ninjago, considering this is how Kai first appeared when we saw him for the very first time in the pilot season. And not only that, Ninjago also brought back this design for March of the Oni, and I feel like that's the design that we will probably see most of if this eventually does become a thing. And that is to be expected, of course. I don't expect Ninjago to bring back older pieces or anything like that if we eventually do get a CMF series for Ninjago, but I have no doubt that Blacksmith Kai will indeed be one of the figures featured if they were to make a series such as this, and as such, it is the first minifigure that I would like to see in this series. Next up, we have Snake Jay. Now, Jay transformed into a half Fangpire creature thing when he accidentally made contact with a Fangpire skeleton during the first season of Ninjago, and as such, his date with Nia was pretty much ruined. The actual design for the Jay figure, though, would be very similar to this like we saw in episode 8, except it would be modernized to feature a more updated Jay design. Maybe the hair would be switched around a little bit, and I have no doubt that this figure would indeed include a new face print, basically showing Jay as a snake. The outfit is very simple, so I feel like that would be no problem for LEGO to pull off, and I think that this figure would be a good one to include for Jay because this basically catalogs Jay and Nia's legacy. So for my second figure in the series, I want to go with a Snake Jay figure. For a third Ninjago CMF figure, I want to include a Ghost Cole variant, maybe his civilian variant from Skybound and other things. Either way, I would like an updated look at Ghost Cole. Cole being a ghost is very important for his character, and we haven't really seen a lot of that in Ninjago Legacy, for example. In response to that, I would like to see a Cole figure in this CMF series be a ghost variant of him, perhaps using some updated prints to give him a more modern day ghost appearance, and like I said, having a casual Ghost Cole would just fit the CMF series entirely. So I feel like including Ghost Cole is a no-brainer here. In the number 4 spot, we have future Zayn. We already have Jay as a future figure, so I feel like we would need a future version of another ninja, and in the case of this series right here, I chose Zayn. I think these designs are really cool, as they basically catalog one of the most important moments from earlier Ninjago, where the ninja find their reflections deep within the tomb of the first Spinjitzu master. I think having a future Zayn figure in this series would make a fair bit of sense, because like I said, this is a very iconic moment, and one of the ninja has to represent that, and in this case, I decided to pick Zayn. In the 5th spot on this list, I decided to include Lloyd from the Steep Wisdom Tea Shop, complete with the entire outfit and the entire uniform that we saw the ninja use during the first episode of Possession. I think that this is a very iconic iconic moment for Ninjago as well, and it's quite a shame that these outfits have not yet been made into actual legit minifigures. And I chose Lloyd to basically be the representative of this event. I feel like this figure would be really cool, with of course some updated printing for Lloyd and having him be modernized, if you will. It's not going to be an exact replica of how he looked in the TV show, but I'm expecting the outfit to look very similar if this eventually does become a figure. I think with this figure they could go a couple of different ways if they wanted to, and I hope that this figure eventually does get made in some way, shape, or form. For the number 6 spot in the CMF series, I decided to include Nia in her blue kimono, as seen during March of the Oni. I'm not super sure what exactly this kimono was supposed to be representing, but I do think the design is really cool, and I would like to see that as an actual Ninjago minifigure, and I'm quite surprised that we have not yet seen this actually be made, at least not to my knowledge. I'm sure people have made customs on it or whatever, but I'm talking about an official release. I hope that we actually do get this figure if a Ninjago CMF series eventually does come out. As I said, I think this blue dress design for Nia is fantastic, and it's also very different from any casual outfit that we've seen her in. So for the number 6 spot in this CMF series, I would like there to be a Nia figure with the blue kimono that we saw during March of the Oni. In terms of number 7 and number 8 for this Ninjago CMF series, I decided that they are very similar, so I would lump them together into one entry. This of course being Young Woo and Young Garmadon, specifically how they look in the Spinjitzu Brothers series of books, which are going to be coming out very, very soon. I think a Young Woo and a Young Garmadon figure are very likely if LEGO ever decides to make a Ninjago CMF series, and I feel like the old designs are what a lot of fans would like to see. However, I think LEGO is more likely to make the modern day upgrades, if you will, of those designs for Young Woo and Garmadon as opposed to the older ones. And as such, I wanted to put them on my particular wish list, because I think the Spinjitzu Brothers designs are very cool. A lot of those pieces already exist in the modern day, and they would just need a simple recolor to match either Woo or Garmadon. I think that these two being in a CMF series is very likely, like I said, so I wanted to include them on this particular list right here. And while some people may prefer the older designs for Young Woo and Garmadon, I think that LEGO is more likely to make the Spinjitzu Brothers designs be actual minifigures if Ninjago ever does get a CMF series. These next 4 entries are kind of wild cards, if you will. So for number 9, I decided to put Trimar, you know, the previous king of Merlopia that we saw during Seabound. Now, of course, this guy is very similar to Kalmar in terms of a design, so I imagine making a Trimar figure would be no trouble. And I would like there to be a specific version of a Seabound character in this CMF series, so I chose Trimar. Being one of the previous kings of Merlopia, he was very important to the overall Seabound season, but unfortunately he was taken out of the series pretty quick. However, the scene where he dies is actually one of the better parts of Seabound in my opinion, so I figured including him in this CMF series would be a nice tribute to not only that moment, but to the entirety of the Ninjago Seabound season. For number 10, I decided to pick Lily, Cole's mother. I really want there to be a Lily figure. I decided that out of all of the ninjas' parents that do not have already existing figures, I would like to see Lily the most. Maybe in a design very similar to the prequel comics that we got around the time Master of the Mountain was being released. I think including her 2 Blades of Deliverance as well would be a nice accessory, and there are multiple opportunities to make this Lily minifigure a really cool and memorable standout character in the entirety of this series. I think LEGO should totally make a Lily minifigure if they get around to it, but I'm not sure if that would be their first choice when it comes to a parent of the ninja. For number 11, I decided to put Fujidove, because Fujidove is a character that desperately needs a minifigure. I think that he's been around in the show for long enough at this point where he has a respectable fan base, and I think giving him an actual minifigure would make a lot of Ninjago fans very happy. Fujidove has a very simple design, so the figure probably would not be that standout when compared to some other ones in this series, but I feel like having him as a part of this series would be very charming and very appealing to a lot of Ninjago fans. And of course, in number 12, I have to put Camille, or Shamil, however you want to pronounce her name. Basically the Master of Form. This one is pretty much a no-brainer, and I feel like a lot of you know why she's here. We have a physical minifigure for every other Elemental Master from the tournament season aside from Camille, who of course was the Master of Form like I previously mentioned. She is the last one that we need, and I feel like we will get her someday, whether it be in the form of a book or even a future Ninjago collectible minifigure series. You could make this figure a couple of different ways, maybe opting to go with her normal look, or you could do a transforming look, which I would prefer. I think that would make for a very unique figure, and it would very much demonstrate that her power is indeed form. So for the last minifigure in this Dream CMF series of mine, I decided to put Camille from the Tournament of Elements. So there you guys have it. That's been my list list of 12 minifigures that I think deserve to be part of a future or upcoming Ninjago collectible minifigure series. Not all of my dream minifigures are going to be in there, but I'm excited to see what happens in the future. If Ninjago does eventually make a CMF series, I hope that some of my entries are there, but obviously I'll like whatever LEGO gives us. Even the idea of LEGO giving us a CMF series for Ninjago is more than appreciated. So let me know down below in the comments what you think about my list. Which minifigures would you like to personally see in a Ninjago CMF series, and what did you think of my entries? Leave our thoughts down below in the comments, you guys, and hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you did, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and check out the links down below in the description from other forms of social media. As always, big shout out goes out to my Patreon supporters, including once again the marvelous Jan. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video once again. My name is TannerFishies, and with that I bid you farewell.